Good afternoon. This is Dr. Soloway. It's Saturday midday. This is a true weekend update. I wanted to discuss lupus nephritis. One of the patients, about 6 months duration, has been very big-hearted and with big spirit. She's a young girl from Cumberland County who came to see me with positive serologies and swelling. In fact, when I originally met her, I did not think the appropriate to me was even an appropriate referral, because she came with anasarca and total body pitting edema. In fact, when I did the internal medicine workup and checked her echocardiogram to check the diastolic dysfunction or not, the thyroid functions, the liver functions, and the 24-hour urine protein, I discovered that in fact she had, I discovered she had 21 grams of protein in 24 hours. As you're all aware, that 150 milligrams is considered normal, and of course 3.5 grams you have nephrotic syndrome. I won't discuss nephrotic syndrome since that's purely an internal medicine topic per se. But at 21 grams of protein, she did have quite severe nephrotic syndrome, so severe that not only did she need diuresis and lipid-lowering therapy, but she needed anticoagulation. Her albumin got as low as 1.5. The workup ensued, and she did have a positive ANA, a positive double-stranded DNA, and a positive Smith antibody. She is a young woman, approximately 20 years old. She's African American, very sweet, kind-hearted, and I cannot overemphasize what a pleasure she is to treat. She may or may not have had some arthritic symptoms, but the predominant finding was the anasarca. And with the serologies, I immediately sent her for a kidney biopsy, and not shocking, she had a pure membranous lupus kidney, or a stage 5 lesion. For those of you who aren't really aware or need to know more about lupus of the kidney, it's graded from 1 to 6. Grades 1 and 2 are confirmation, essentially, that you have lupus and it involves your kidney. Grades 3 and 4 are an inflammatory phase which needs to be treated extremely aggressively so you can avoid transplant or you can avoid dialysis. Level 6 would be a kidney that is essentially already dead, and no treatment to reduce inflammation can help because nothing is left to be inflamed. It's all burned out. However, the stage 5 lesion, which is called membranous nephropathy, there is not much in the way of inflammation. However, the patient leaks protein, and in this case, tremendous amount of protein. I'm not going to say I haven't seen more and I haven't seen sicker people with less, but I reassured she and her mother at the first visit that this would be an early fix and a quick fix. So she immediately went on high-dose steroids, diuresis, anti-lipid drugs, and Xarelto. Unfortunately, her protein did not go down whatsoever, in spite of, within a month, Cellcept, Imuran, and high-dose steroids. She was immediately placed on cyclosporin at a very hefty dose, and in brief time it was quick to see that she did not respond, even within a month, no response whatsoever to cyclosporin. However, she's now received rituximab, 4 infusions on 2 occasions, and currently her proteinuria is 2 grams. She looks and feels great. I have explained to her that 2 grams is still not a good situation. However, she's not refractory and she is responsive. But the importance on the medical end is to understand that a patient with 2 grams of protein in lupus, even though she has normal GFR and she has a normal urine sediment, if we can't control her proteinuria, eventually she could get damage, and that would not be good. She and her mom are very happy with the progress, and so am I. She's 90% improved, but unfortunately, she still has a ways to go. And to me, it looks like her outcome's going to turn out well, but she really has had me worried on a few occasions. I'm going to tell you about another situation that occurred last night at one of the local hospitals. There's a patient in the hospital who is a known lupus patient who I personally have never met formally, but she has 24 grams of protein in her urine. She sat in the hospital for the greater portion of 2 weeks on 2 separate occasions, and I was not even called. By the time I was called, she had already been administered the wrong medicine, and they were getting ready to transfer her to a regional center rather than a local hospital. Unfortunately, and one of the points I want to make, a patient should not shop for a center, they should shop for a doctor. So, if you think I'm a good doctor, then Cumberland County and Inspira Medical Center are great if you have rheumatic diseases. However, if you think I'm a lousy doctor, then you'd think the opposite. Going to a major named medical center means you went to see a Yankee game because they're a famous team. It doesn't mean they have good players that year. So remember, please, you must shop the doctor, not the institution, because that person, who I don't know, has had 2 kidney biopsies within 1 year. The second was not necessary. I will say that the lesions, as I mentioned, 1 through 6, between 2 and 5, they switch back and forth, but the underlying lesion is still the one that you're going to treat, and you still will monitor the patient's blood pressure, the patient's urine protein, and please always get a 24-hour collection. Some of these new shortcut measures, they just don't cut it when you're dealing with a lupus patient. They may cut it if you're screening a diabetic, but not in lupus. No way. Not under my watch. It so happens the patient in the hospital has a stage 4 lesion, which means she is actively inflamed. Unlike the first patient, that patient needs what we call pulse dose steroids, which is 1,000 milligrams of solumedrol, or similar to prednisone, administered daily IV between 1 and 2 hours, 3 days in a row, along with a one-time dose of cyclophosphamide. Most people who are not in the know feel that cyclophosphamide is only a cancer drug and they're afraid of it. In fact, the hospital systems are afraid to give the drug, and when I order this drug under the correct circumstances for life-saving or kidney-saving measures, there's a whole hullabaloo to get the one special nurse who's trained to touch the drug, when in reality they don't understand the patient is receiving a one-time dose. The dose is not particularly high when compared to people who are treated for cancers. A lot of the monitoring that we do is different than what the oncologist would do. So, you have a little more information. You hopefully understand a little bit more about lupus in the kidney. I'll mention one other thing. We've just spoken about these lesions in the kidney. These lesions refer to what is happening in the glomerulus. The glomerulus is the percolator, it's the filter. There is also a part of the kidney that is called the tubule. The tubule, as it is stated, is a tube. So the urine processing and the acid-base metabolism occurs at the level of the tubule, while the glomerulus is a filter. So there are lupus patients that do get tubular lesions. They can be earth-shattering and life-threatening, but not to the degree of the bad glomerular lesions. And I mentioned tubular disease, or what is often referred to as tubular interstitial disease, or tubular interstitial necrosis. This is something that you'll get from side effects of drugs that are known to be nephrotoxic or kidney toxic or kidney dangerous. This is also the type of kidney lesion that will occur in Sjogren's syndrome more than it will in lupus. So these are some important differentiating points, both for patients who want to be more knowledgeable, as well as medical students, residents, and fellows who don't understand the difference or get them confused, because it's not a simple topic to master. Finally, I have to take the opportunity to throw in my Wake Up America Soloway political segment of the morning. I'm not interested in whether I'm liked or disliked. I just want to be respected for what I do. And this morning I was listening to the radio, and I heard that Elizabeth Warren was running for president, and I proceeded to listen. Whether I agree with her or disagree with her, completely irrelevant. Everyone's entitled to do what they want. But I find that the political system is an inherently corrupt system, and I find her statement that her, quote, "my daddy was a janitor or a sanitation worker," end quote, this to let us believe she grew up poor. Yet she bragged about how she went on to go to be a teacher, a lawyer, a high-ranking senator, and in the same sentence she was saying that we have so much inequality that nobody who grows up poor has any opportunity. Well, which is it? Did she grow up poor and do well, or did she really inherit money and grow up rich to get where she is? This is a hypocrisy that people need to think about. One more topic I was going to save for another day was the financial crisis that everyone talks about in this country. I can tell you, and you can fact check me, I'm not a news agency and I'm not a politician, nor do I want to be, but I'd probably make a good one. The federal budget is $4.4 trillion. That is $4.4 trillion. And each year we collect money from taxpayers and other sources such as tariffs from other countries, perhaps selling oil and various other means. And we come up with a yearly deficit of $650 billion. The interest payment yearly on the $600 or $650 billion is approximately $350 billion. So we have a shortfall for $600 or so billion with an interest payment of $300 or $350 billion. So that's the start of the problem. The question is, no matter how much tax is raised, and if everyone in the country gave up all their wealth, the question really is, where is the money being spent? Why are we thinking or proposing cutting Medicare? Why do we think about cutting the military? Why do we think about cutting any service that's necessary to people? And this you can fact check me, and if you can actually find a fact, sorry I'm distracted, there's cars in the other, behind the car. My estimate is $200 billion are wasted by Congress and the White House. $200 billion. So I will be very nonpartisan, and I will tell you that I feel that every congressperson, president, senator, House of Representative, and cabinet member should be paid very well. The president should probably be paid $1 billion, and all the senators should probably be paid $1 million or $2 or $3 or $5 million. However, they should pay their tax, they should pay for their clothes, They should pay for their food, their health care, their travel, their security. And if you took the 635 or so congressional people, plus the president, the vice president, the cabinet, and another 30 or 40 people, perhaps there's 700 people. 700 people at $5 million a year, I think is 35 million. If I'm wrong, maybe it's 350 million. But we're wasting $200 billion, no different than any current socialist country. Yet fortunately, there's enough crumbs left over for the society to function. If I pay more tax or less tax, it will not affect who eats what, where, and when. But if we proposed my system, nobody would ever run for president, because it would mean losing all the perks of the job, which means live like a king and live for free. The Stark Law and Sunshine Act prohibit me from eating pizza with a pharmaceutical rep to be educated about a new product that perhaps I didn't learn about because I'm an old guy and I've been out of school for a long time. And there's only so much you can learn at an educational course within a set amount of hours. Why is it I'm prohibited and it is against the law and it is considered to be a kickback if I take food from a pharmaceutical worker? Why is it considered a problem if I rent space to a lab or an x-ray facility more than what the government states I can collect in rent? Explain this to me. This is common sense. This is not politics. With what I've said, why is it that we have politicians, either side of the aisle, getting on military aircraft, flying with 100 people at a time for a vacation covered up as a trip, and that includes tuition, room, board, and everything else for them, the Secret Service, all their family, an extra couple of planes for security, some missiles, machine guns, tanks, and whatever else they need. But I can't get that slice of pizza with sausage because my name will go on a list and they'll be looking at me. That's my political thought for the day. If you like it, I might give some more. I wanted to also quickly address some of the comments you guys have sent me. 1, I appreciate all the comments. 2, I don't know how to work the response system yet. I'll have to check with my staff. 3, to my friend in Argentina, I don't speak Spanish well enough to do a broadcast in Spanish. However, es posible yo cambio en español. Perhaps. No creo. Okay, Eduardo? Okay. And to my lupus patient, you know who you are. I love you. You're great. And to everyone else, wish me a happy birthday. It's Monday. I'm getting old, but between swimming and my swim buddies and my Peloton, I plan to be around a long time, saving lives and helping people, because that is what I do best. If you have any questions, please address them to me, and somebody at my staff will figure out a way to get them back. I also want to mention I was asked to speak about ankylosing spondylitis, and I will make ankylosing spondylitis the next topic as long as I remember to do it. I get very distracted, and as you know, I always run late. And I decided that good sleep is earned. So people that don't sleep well, maybe you need to exercise more, read more, work more, and get more tired. Because boy, when I sleep good. And with that, have a wonderful weekend.